Mrs. Armstrong. May I call you Lucille?
Oh, please do. Everyone does. Nobody called Louis Mr. Armstrong. They always felt close to him and called him Louis or Satchmo.
Satchmo.
Right.
Well, Lucille, I'm happy you came to Romania, first of all. Secondly, maybe we could start our interview with Romania and with your visit here, which is not your first, I think.
No, it's not. I first came with Louis. My first trip was in 1965 with Louis. A very short but a very lucrative trip. Louis had been here in the 30s, so both of us have had two trips, so we've made some wonderful friends. I saw Romania at night, really, the last time, but I've had wonderful tours here this trip because, as you know, I've been here almost a week, or at least a week.
Yeah.
So it's given me a chance to really get to know Bucharest, and had the pleasure of getting to the Black Sea, which was absolutely wonderful.
Of course, everybody loves Louis in this country, and, not only the people who like jazz, because jazz is a very special sort of music, and there are people who don't like it so very much.
Right.
But even those people love Louis.
Well, you see, Louis, they have given Louis's music a name, the public, the press. But when you analyze it, Louis plays a classic type of American music. There's no name for what Louis plays because he plays true notes. He plays as in his work, he plays a concert type of thing.
Oh, yes.
He's proficient. He's a past master on his instrument. And he's a composer. And one feels this.
I wanted to say he's a classic, and then the words seemed somehow so, I don't know, he was so alive, and he still is so much alive, that classic seemed a little bit too stuffy and too...
Well, that's possible, yes. But
But he is a classic.
Well, I think his work is classic. I would put it in the classic field.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, I think our public would be interested in knowing, about him, just as a person. He was very kind. One can see that from his book. Kind
Yes.
and nice
And you
heart.
can see it in his face. You could see it in his
Oh,
face.
yes.
Louis had compassion for his fellow man. There was no... A person was a person,
And he loved people.
and he
I
loved
think.
people. That's the beauty of Louis. And you could see it in his face, even you could hear it in his music.
It's very interesting because, most of the people know him by his smile, which was so famous.
Yes.
But he also has a very deep thinking and sensitive look on his face, in his eyes.
Well, yes. Louis was an extremely serious person. One has to realize that 24 hours a day one does not always smile. But he had humor. He could see the humor in life, in situations. When one can laugh at certain misfortunes even. I think that's a great thing. He found an excuse for anything that was not quite to his liking. There had to be a reason for it, and he didn't brood over it.
Was he hard-working? I mean, his work proper.
Well, I don't know what you would mean by hard working. He worked consistently,
Yes.
consecutively. He worked throughout the year. But to Louis, it wasn't work. It was love. If he had a week off, he couldn't stay off a week without saying, well, when am I going back? I just have to blow my horn. There's work and work. With
Oh,
Louis,
yes,
it
of
was
course.
not work.
I understand he wasn't rehearsing during the day. He would just take up his horn and just blow a few notes, and then...
Right.
But he was playing every night.
When you play every night, there's no need to rehearse because you're in shape. It's like a fighter. If you fought every day, you wouldn't have to go into a training camp and prepare for a fight. Louis, of course, naturally he would pick up his horn from time to time within the day and blow a few notes, just to see if the embouchure and the lip had the feeling. But to sit and just rehearse, no, not. I didn't remember him ever doing that.
Well, I think that's probably because he was an artist all the time, every minute of his life,
Right.
and he was a musician all the time, and he was feeling music, and that was probably his life.
Well, that's it, you know. And not only that, but if he were home, not appearing before public, you know, before going to, there's always music going on in the house.
Oh, you mean he would
Play records,
play records? Yes.
or
And tape.
music on the radio, and tapes. But there was always music.
What kind of music did he like
Louis
besides jazz?
Louis liked all music.
I interviewed many of the great people of jazz, of American jazz, you know, and whenever I asked who impressed you most in your career, they said Louis. Now it's natural. Who was there anyone that impressed Louis very much?
Well, of
I think King
course.
Oliver.
Well, I mean, you see, there were the people in his youth. The King Oliver was,
Yeah.
of course, that he'd always tell you King Oliver was an idol. King Oliver taught him after he came out of the Waifs home. He taught him. He played in King Oliver's band, and that was his man, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Uh-huh.
What about the younger ones? I mean, let's say the beat music, the pop music.
Well, he listened to it because as an artist, he had to listen to it and compare. Naturally, he wouldn't change his own style, but he did listen to it all. He had his preferences. He liked the Beatles. He liked Elvis Presley
Well,
and a few others.
of course, he couldn't change his style. He
No.
was Louis Armstrong.
That's true.
Did he have any kids come over and I mean, I understand that the kids in the neighborhood, I mean, the small ones, die ones, were all his friends.
Well, yes, they were. And he would sit and talk with them. And he really would talk to children as though he didn't talk down to them. You know, they were
Talked
equals.
level to them.
That's right, he did. And they liked to follow him around. If he had to go to the barber shop, they'd follow him. He's like a Pied Piper. You know, wherever Louis went, there was a load of children behind him. And during the summer months, if the we have a sort of thing we call the good humor man. He has a truck and he has a bell that he rings, and of course this announces the fact that he's coming with the ice cream. And Louis would buy out the truck, just give it all to the kids in the neighborhood. You know, he had a great apathy for the underprivileged, because as you know, he
He
himself.
was very poor.
Yes,
at the time,
and
back
he's
in
never
New Orleans.
forgotten this. As important a man as he had become in later years, he never forgot this.
It's very important. It's
is.
it's part of his let's say of his human quality.
Yes, definitely. Last night at the concert, I had hoped that I would be able to stand up and tell the people of Romania how much I enjoyed my visit here in Romania. And as I said, I had gotten a chance to see it for the first time. I visited
actually,
quite a
yes.
few. I did a little sightseeing. And I would like to thank the people for inviting me here as a visitor, and I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Well, we are all Louis Armstrong lovers.
I know, but
And
I mean, those are the
yes, I know what you mean.
Yes,
But
the
the
musicians.
youth too. I mean, they're
Yes.
the very young ones. They do love that. And I told some young people, you know, I was going to interview you. So they said, "Oh no, really? That's marvelous."
Well, you know, that's when Louis was all. That's just where he was. And the 56 years that Louis had been a name, he never lost the youth as most old performers do. They carry the people that had loved them in their young days, and they carried them right on, and the youth forgot them. They didn't take to them. But Louis had always, there was never a generation gap with Louis.
Yeah.
In his music or anything else. He just carried on the youth. And the kids in the street, when the record, Hello Dolly, came out, these kids, 7, 8 years old, would call Louis, say, hello, hello, Louis, darling, hello, Dolly, And they listen, there was something that he had in his work that was always youthful.